Identify the following characteristics about the function below. Now, it doesn't say you can't use a graphing calculator, so we can do that. I can see the vertex is 1, 4. I know that this parabola is headed down, so let's plug this in. Negative 2, x minus 1 quantity squared, plus 4. When I hit trace, it will show me that 0, 2 is the y-intercept. And let's figure out what the x-intercepts are using a calculator. Second, trace zeros. We're going to start here. So left of the x-intercept, right and back to where you see them cross. One x-intercept, and we're going to round, is negative 0.4. And actually, we may have to write exact answers here. So we're going to come back to this in a little bit. Okay, so I can see it's not an exact answer for this function. So what do? Well, let's start with this part. We can graph a function and we can estimate, and then when we need to get the exact answers, I'll show you how to achieve those answers. So second trace 0, again left, right, and back on. So negative 0.4. So here's negative 1/2, right about there. And the next x-intercept, second trace 0, above, below, and back to it, is 2.4 approximately. So we know that the graph looks something like this. Now let's answer the questions about this. What is the vertex? The vertex is 1, 4. What is the equation for the axis of symmetry? It cuts through the x-axis at a value of 1. What is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is 0, 2. We're going to come back to x-intercepts later on. What is the domain? Because it's a quadratic function, there's no limit how far it goes to the left or to the right, so the domain is negative infinity to positive. The range starts from the bottom, no limit how far down it goes, and it goes up to a height of 4, and we include it. Part G is the interval of increase. So from left to right, it's increasing. This is a neutral, and then starts to decrease. Remember, intervals of increase or decrease will be in terms of parentheses and x value. So it comes from the far left, it continues to increase until it gets to a value of 1. Increase, increase, it's neutral, and then after 1, it starts to decrease. So it decreases from 1 to positive infinity. Often students want to call this a negative infinity because they see it going down. In terms of x values, it's going to the far right. Part I says, what is the maximum value? The maximum value is y equals 4. The maximum value is y equals 4. What is the average rate of change on the interval 1 to 3? So 1 and 3. We're going to use the calculator. Second, trace value, plug in 1, 1 goes with 4, plug in 3, 3 goes with negative 4. Again, second trace value, plug in 1, 1 goes with 4, plug in 3, 3 goes with negative 4. So average rate of change uses the formula y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And many of us think of this as the slope. So this is your x1, y1, and x2, y2, and x2, y2. So y2 subtract y1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Negative 4 and negative 4 give you a negative 8 over 2, which reduces to negative 4. So on average, from 1 to 3, on average, it decreases negative 4 units. Negative 4 per unit. What is the end behavior of this function? For this particular function, when you go to the far left and the far right, in both cases, it's heading downward. Now, how do we come up with the exact x-intercepts? The exact x-intercepts. Well, when you find an x-intercept, the y has to be 0 all the time. So I'm going to go up to the equation. I'm going to do the work right here. I'm going to substitute a 0 in for y. and I'm going to solve for x. I start by subtracting 4 to the opposite side. Now dividing by -2. Okay, to get rid of the square, I square root both sides. This will give you 2 answers. Unfortunately, the square root of 2 is irrational, which means you can't get a pretty answer. It would be an ongoing decimal with no repeating numbers, repeating pattern. And now I add 1 to the opposite side. So we get 2 answers here. One x-intercept is 1 plus the square root of 2, comma 0. The next is 1 subtract the square root of 0. Sorry, 1 subtract the square root of 2, comma 0.